The great chamber of the Galaxy Council was unlike anything most humans had ever seen. It was a place built at the center of the stars, a hall where hundreds of species gathered under one roof. The ceiling stretched high above, glowing with starlight pulled from real space. The walls shimmered with colors that shifted depending on the speaker's voice. For centuries, it had been the place where the most powerful civilizations made their choices, shaping the future of the galaxy. On this day, the chamber was full. Delegates of all kinds filled their seats. Some were tall and shining like crystal, others short and covered in fur, and some so strange that even the bravest humans could not look at them for long. In the middle of the great circle sat the ruling council, 12 figures who carried the power of judgment. They were the ones who would decide Earth's fate. At one side of the chamber, the human delegation waited. Captain Maria stood tall in her dark blue uniform, her hands clasped behind her back. She had seen battle before, but this felt different. This was not a war fought with ships and weapons. This was a war of voices, a war of votes. Next to her sat Paul, Earth's diplomat, a man with calm eyes and careful words. Behind them, a few young officers tried to keep their faces steady, though their hearts pounded in their chests. When the call for order rang out, silence filled the room. The head of the council, a tall figure with silver skin and glowing eyes, stood and spoke. Today we vote on the request of Earth. The humans have asked for full membership in the council. They claim they are ready to stand among us as equals. A wave of whispers moved across the chamber. Some delegates nodded, but many shook their heads. The history of Earth was well known. Wars, conflict, endless struggle. To many alien minds, humans were too young, too reckless, too dangerous. One of the council members, a creature with 6 arms and a voice like metal striking stone, rose. Humans are unstable. They grow fast, but they fight faster. They spread across space without permission, without care for balance. If we allow them into this circle, they will bring chaos. Another voice spoke, this one soft but sharp, belonging to a being of feathers and long wings. Yes, they are clever, but cleverness is not wisdom. They have not proven that they can act with restraint. Membership must be denied. Only a few voices spoke in defense of Earth. A delegate from a smaller world stood saying, humans are not perfect. But none of us were when we joined. We were given a chance, and so should they. But the words were swallowed by louder voices calling for rejection. Maria's jaw tightened as she listened. She did not move, did not speak. Paul leaned forward once as if he wished to rise, but she placed a hand on his arm, and he stayed seated. Their time to speak was gone. The decision was no longer theirs. The head of the council raised a shining hand. The vote will now begin. Delegates, make your choice. Light filled the air above the chamber. Each delegate's vote took shape as a beam of color. Green meant yes, red meant no, yellow meant to abstain. The colors appeared one after another, rising like stars into the dome. From where the humans sat, it was clear what the result would be. Red filled the chamber. Only a handful of green lights rose to meet it. At last, the head of the council lowered his hand. The starlight above shifted, forming the final count. The vote was against Earth. Humanity would not join the Galaxy Council. The chamber echoed with voices, some celebrating, others complaining, but none from the humans. They sat still and silent. Paul's face was calm, though his eyes burned. One of the younger officers clenched his fists, but Maria gave him a single sharp look, and he relaxed. There would be no outburst, no display of anger. Not here, not now. The head of the council looked toward the humans. The decision is made. Earth's request is denied. You may continue as an observer, but you will have no voice here. This session is closed. The sound of the closing bell rang, deep and final. Delegates rose, talking in groups, some glancing at the humans with pity, others with smug satisfaction. The human delegation stood as one. Without a word, they turned and walked out of the chamber. Their boots struck the polished floor in steady rhythm, a sound that carried more weight than shouting ever could. As they reached the exit, Maria looked back once at the council chamber. Her eyes were steady, her face unreadable. To the aliens who saw her, it seemed as if the humans had accepted defeat. But to those who looked closer, there was something else in her gaze. Not despair, not surrender. Something colder, sharper, waiting. Paul spoke only once as they boarded their ship. His voice was low, but every human on the team heard him. They think they have judged us, but they do not understand. They have only judged themselves. Maria gave no reply. She simply sat in her chair, watching as the Council's shining station grew smaller on the view screen. The chamber of the galaxy had closed its doors to Earth, but Earth would not stop moving. The humans had been denied, and yet their silence was not weakness. It was patience, and patience was something the Council had never learned to fear. The human ship left the docking ring slowly, almost too slowly, as if giving the Council a final chance to watch. Countless alien eyes followed the movement. Some expected a last protest. Others waited for a dramatic act of defiance. But nothing came. The humans moved with the calm of stone, and their silence carried more weight than words. Inside the ship, Captain Maria sat in the command chair. The glow of the screens painted her face in pale blue. Around her, officers worked in silence. No one spoke of the vote. No one spoke of the insult. The hum of the engines filled the silence, steady and deep. It was the sound of a ship moving forward, never backward. Paul stood at one of the wide windows, watching the lights of the Council station fade. His reflection looked back at him, calm but sharp. He had argued for years that humanity deserved a seat at the table. Now, after all those efforts, the door had been closed in their faces. Yet he did not feel anger. He felt something else, something stronger than anger. "They think they have ended us," he said softly. "But what they have ended is their chance." Maria turned her chair slightly toward him. "The Council sees what they want to see. They see a young race that fights too hard, that grows too fast. But they do not see why we fight. They do not understand why we rise." Paul gave a short nod. "They will, sooner than they think." The younger officers on the bridge listened in silence. Their hearts were hot with pride and with frustration, but Maria's calm presence held them steady. She knew that words spoken in anger could wound more than blades, for now silence was their sharpest weapon. The ship crossed the border of Council space, moving into the wide unknown. Alien patrol ships passed by, watching closely. Some expected humans to turn back, perhaps to beg for reconsideration. But the human ship never slowed. It glided past the patrols with quiet grace, its path as firm as a blade drawn from a sheath. In the Council chamber, far behind, the discussion continued long after the humans had left. Delegates spoke in worried tones. Why did they not protest? One asked. Why did they not show rage? Another said. For many, the silence was unsettling. A defeated race should cry, plead, or strike out. The humans had done none of these. They had walked away with heads held high as if the vote had meant nothing. One elder delegate, whose people had lived through many wars, spoke with unease. Be careful of a species that does not shout when it is wronged. Be careful of those who wait in silence. They are the ones who return the strongest. Back aboard the human ship, Maria walked through the lower decks. She passed engineers at their stations, pilots running quiet drills, soldiers checking their gear. They all stood straighter when she passed. They all carried the same thought in their hearts. Earth had been rejected, but Earth had not been broken. In the mess hall, a young officer named Daniel finally spoke the words many were thinking. Captain, why didn't we fight? Why didn't we demand our place? Maria looked at him for a long moment before answering. Her voice was steady, carrying through the hall. Because begging would make us weak, and fighting here would make us foolish. We will not win respect by shouting in their chamber. We will win it by building our own. And when the galaxy sees what we have built, they will understand, or they will fear. The room fell quiet again, but this time it was not the silence of defeat. It was the silence of belief. As the ship pushed deeper into space, Paul joined Maria once more on the bridge. His voice carried the weight of a new beginning. This is not the end. This is the first step. Earth no longer waits for permission. We will write our own place in this galaxy. Maria gave a small nod, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Then let us begin. Behind them, Earth itself was already stirring. Across the planet, hidden projects long kept secret were waking. Vast hangars opened to reveal ships that had never flown in public view. Deep in underground bunkers, scientists activated machines that had been waiting for this very day. The world that had been treated as a child by the Council was no longer a child. It had grown in silence, and now it was ready to rise. The human ship continued forward, its engines burning brighter as it entered the dark stretch of unexplored space. To those watching from afar, it looked small compared to the endless stars. But size meant little. What mattered was the will behind it. And the will of Earth had never been stronger. In the stillness of the bridge, Maria whispered words meant only for herself. They closed the door. Now we will build our own. Earth was a world with scars. From space it looked like a jewel of blue and green, but those who lived there carried memories of fire and struggle. For thousands of years, humanity had fought against itself, against nature, and against the unknown. Every century left marks, but those marks became lessons. Those lessons had shaped the human spirit. When the Galaxy Council denied Earth, many expected humans to collapse into despair. But instead, a quiet strength stirred across the planet. In underground chambers, hidden bases, and secret stations orbiting the moon, projects that had slept for decades awoke. They were not new dreams, but old ones kept hidden from the eyes of others. In the capital of Earth, leaders gathered inside a hall carved deep into the rock beneath the surface. The room was filled with maps, glowing screens, and long tables lined with men and women who carried the weight of nations. At the head sat President Allen, a man whose calm voice could settle storms. Around him were generals, scientists, engineers, and strategists. Together, they represented more than governments. They represented the will of humanity. President Allen spoke first. "The Council has closed their doors to us. We will not beg them to open again. Instead, we will walk through another path. We will not rise because of their approval. We will rise because we are ready." A general leaned forward, his voice strong. "Our fleets are ready, sir. Not the ones they have seen, but the ones they have never been allowed to see. Years of planning, years of silence. The time has come." A scientist adjusted her glasses, her eyes glowing with excitement. "Our energy systems are stable. The Council believes we are behind them in power, but they are wrong. We have unlocked technologies they would not even share. We built them in secret. Now we will use them." Paul, who had returned from the council chamber only days earlier, stood among them. His voice was quiet, but each word carried weight. "They think we are reckless children. They think we have not learned. But every war we fought on this world, every hardship, every mistake, we learned from them. The galaxy has not seen what humanity becomes when it learns." The hall grew still. Every face turned toward him. Paul continued, "They see only shadows of our past, but those shadows are not weakness. They are the fire that made us. We are not dangerous because we fight. We are dangerous because we endure." Maria, now back on Earth, entered the chamber in her uniform. She saluted before speaking. "I saw their eyes as we left. They thought silence was surrender. But I tell you now it was preparation. When the time comes, we will not need to shout. Our actions will speak louder than any voice." The leaders nodded and decisions were made. Across the planet, hidden hangars opened. In mountains, in deserts, and beneath the seas, vast doors rolled back, revealing fleets of ships unlike any seen before. They were sharp, sleek, and powerful, carrying weapons the Council had forbidden humans to build. But Earth had built them anyway, not for conquest, but for survival. On the far side of the moon, bases lit up as long-dormant machines came alive. Massive engines roared for the first time, filling the silence of space with human ambition. Artificial intelligence systems connected, linking ships and stations into a vast network. Humans had not simply prepared to defend, they had prepared to outthink and outmaneuver. The people of Earth, ordinary men and women, felt the change as well. They did not know the full details, but they sensed it in the air, in the news, in the way leaders spoke with new confidence. Factories worked day and night, not for profit, but for progress. Farmers, miners, builders, all worked with a shared purpose. Earth was moving as one. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread beyond Earth. Traders and travelers carried whispers to other worlds. "The humans are building something," they said. The humans did not protest, but they are not still. Some laughed, dismissing the rumors as foolish tales. But others remembered the silence of the council chamber, the steady steps of the humans as they left, and they felt a chill. Back on Earth, Paul stood alone on a balcony overlooking the city lights. He thought of history, of the long road that had brought humanity here. They had been denied before, by kings, by empires, by forces stronger than themselves. But each time they had risen higher. Each time they had turned defeat into strength. This would be no different. Maria joined him, her eyes on the stars. "Do you think they know what they have started?" Paul shook his head. "No. They believe they have ended a question. But what they have done is open a door, not for us to enter their hall, but for us to build our own. And when it is ready, the galaxy will come to us." Maria's lips curved into a small, rare smile. Then let them wait. Above them, in orbit, human ships moved like shadows in the dark, unseen by most of the galaxy. But those shadows would soon become storms. And when the storm broke, the Council would remember this moment. Not as the day they rejected Earth, but as the day they awakened something they could not stop. Weeks passed after the vote. On the surface, the galaxy looked the same. Trade ships moved along their routes. Council patrols guarded the borders, and diplomats filled their halls with endless talk. But beneath the calm, small cracks began to appear. Whispers spread from system to system, whispers of Earth and the silence that followed their rejection. At first, the Council dismissed these whispers as nothing more than rumors. "The humans are ambitious," one delegate said. "They will try to rise again, but without us they will remain small." Many nodded in agreement. Yet not everyone was convinced. Some remembered the steady way the humans had walked out of the chamber, heads high, eyes sharp. It had not looked like defeat. Then the first reports arrived. A patrol ship near Earth's border failed to report back. The Council assumed it was a simple accident. Space was vast and dangers were many, but then a second patrol disappeared. Then a third. Each was well armed, each carried crews from respected species, and each was gone without a trace. In the grand chamber, voices grew uneasy. "Something is happening near human space," one delegate warned. But others brushed it aside. "Perhaps pirates," another answered. "Perhaps natural storms." Yet in their hearts doubt began to form. Far from the Council, in the silent dark, humanity was moving. Maria stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute. Around her stretched a fleet of ships unlike any the Council had seen. They were smaller than most alien vessels, but faster, sharper, and filled with weapons designed through years of secret effort. The ships moved as one, guided not only by human hands but by advanced systems that worked like living minds. "Targets ahead," an officer reported. "Council patrol 3 ships. They have not seen us." Maria gave a calm nod. "Engage, but do not destroy." "Disable them!" The human fleet moved with precision. Engines burned only for moments, then fell silent, letting momentum carry the ships. Weapons fired beams of pure energy, not to tear apart, but to shut down engines and shields. Within minutes, the patrol ships were floating helplessly, their crews unharmed but powerless. "Status?" Maria asked. "All ships disabled, Captain. No casualties." She gave a small nod. "Good. Leave them. They will return home and tell their story. Let the Council wonder." The fleet slipped away into the dark, vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. News of the encounter reached the Council within days. The delegates argued loudly, some demanding action, others urging patience. "They did not destroy," one pointed out. "Perhaps it was a warning." Another shook his head. "No, it was a test. They are showing us they can strike whenever they wish." For the first time, fear entered the voices of the Council. Meanwhile, word spread beyond the chamber. Small civilizations, long ignored or pushed aside by larger powers, heard of Earth's actions. They heard that humans had defeated patrols without spilling blood, that they fought with both power and restraint. And for many, this was something new. The great powers of the galaxy often crushed the weak without care. But the humans, though fierce, showed mercy. In secret, envoys began reaching out to Earth. Messages came coded and hidden, carried by traders and smugglers. Some worlds asked for protection, others offered friendship. Humanity, once seen as an outsider, was now becoming a symbol of hope for those who had none. Paul worked tirelessly, meeting with these envoys in hidden stations. He spoke not of conquest but of partnership. "We do not seek to rule," he told them. "We seek only to stand as equals. If you join with us, you will not kneel. You will rise." The word spread like fire. Slowly, carefully, a network began to form. Small worlds and forgotten colonies now looking to Earth, not the Council, for leadership. Back aboard the Resolute, Maria studied the star map. Her officers waited for orders. She traced her finger across the border lines that marked Council space. "They believe they know how we fight," she said. "But they only know half. We will not rush. We will not roar. We will show them, step by step, that their vote was not the end. It was the beginning." An officer asked, "And when they come in force, Captain?" Maria's eyes were calm, steady. "Then we show them what it means to be human. We fight not only with strength but with memory. Every war of our past has taught us. They think we are reckless. They will learn we are prepared." The Resolute and its fleet turned deeper into space, leaving silence behind. And in that silence, the galaxy began to doubt. For the first time, the council felt the shadow of something greater than themselves. They had voted against Earth, but the echoes of that vote now spread across the stars. And those echoes carried a question the council could no longer ignore. What if humanity had been ready all along? The Galaxy Council chamber had never been so tense. Delegates who had once voted confidently against Earth now spoke with uncertainty in their voices. The disappearance of patrol ships, the rumors of human fleets moving unseen, and the whispered stories from small worlds had unsettled even the oldest council members. "This cannot continue," one delegate shouted. His voice echoed like thunder across the chamber. "The humans are growing stronger. They disable our fleets without destroying them. They are unpredictable. If we do not act, they will control everything." A feathered delegate leaned forward, her wings folding tightly. "We should not assume control," she said softly, but her eyes were sharp. "We do not know what humans will do. We have seen only a part of their power. They have the skill to fight, but they also have the wisdom to wait. Our threats may only make them faster, stronger." Voices rose and fell, arguments overlapping. Some demanded that the council send a full armada to Earth to destroy the fleet before it could expand. Others warned that attacking humans would unite the galaxy against them. "We judged too quickly," whispered one elder delegate. "We dismissed a species that has endured war, famine, and collapse. They have survived everything we have not, and now they are ready." Paul watched from a hidden observation chamber. He could see the panic spreading through council space. His message to the council was simple and unspoken. Humans did not beg. Humans did not strike recklessly, and humans would not be underestimated again. Back on Earth, Maria studied reports from the front lines. Humans had completed several maneuvers to test the council fleets, disabling ships without harm, demonstrating both strength and mercy. Every movement was precise. Every action had a purpose. A young officer, sensing the weight of the moment, asked, "Captain, they are arguing. Will they send the armada?" Maria shook her head slowly. "It does not matter. They may try, or they may wait. Either way, our purpose remains the same. We grow stronger. We build alliances, and we show the galaxy that Earth is no longer to be ignored." And alliances were forming. Small worlds that had long suffered under the shadow of larger powers now approached humans quietly. Envoys brought messages of friendship, offers of trade, and pledges of support. Some had watched humans in battle and admired their restraint. Others had seen how humans endured loss and continued forward. Paul met with one such envoy from a water world called Orin. Its people had been ignored by the council for centuries. "Why do you help us?" Paul asked. The envoy, a tall figure with translucent skin that shimmered with light, replied, "Because you fight with balance. You do not destroy what you do not need to. You honor life. We have never seen that in the galaxy." Paul nodded. "Then stand with us. The galaxy has underestimated humanity for too long. Together, we will change that." Word of these alliances began to filter back to council members. Some were angry that humans could attract followers without asking for permission. Others were fearful, realizing that small worlds banding together could tip the balance of power. The council that had once appeared united now showed cracks deeper than any in history. In secret, a faction began forming within the council. These members argued that humans should be approached diplomatically, perhaps even invited back as equals. They feared that any attack could trigger a war the council could not control. Another faction insisted that humans must be crushed before they could rise further. The debate was heated, but it also revealed something important. The council was no longer in full control. Humanity had forced them to see beyond their own power. On Earth, Maria prepared her fleet for the next phase. Every ship was repaired, every crew trained, and every system tested. The humans had no need to attack immediately. Their presence alone was a statement. The council would watch, they would argue, and they would worry. And in that worry, humans gained advantage. Paul stood beside Maria on the bridge of the Resolute. "They do not know what to do," he said. They argued and divided themselves. "Our strength grows while they waste time." Maria smiled slightly. "They thought rejecting us would end us. They thought silence was weakness. They are learning the wrong lesson. We do not wait for approval. We act, we endure, and we build." A young officer watched both of them and realized something. Humanity had become more than a nation. It had become an idea, a force that combined strength, patience, and wisdom. The galaxy could no longer ignore it. The council chamber, so proud of its authority, now faced its first real challenge. Members could argue, vote, or threaten, but the humans had already moved beyond their control. By underestimating Earth, the council had split itself, and that division would be remembered for centuries. Above all, Maria and Paul knew the same truth. The council's fear was the first sign of respect, and respect earned through power and honor was stronger than any vote could ever be. The humans did not celebrate. They prepared. They did not boast. They advanced. And as the council divided behind closed doors, Earth quietly rose, ready to show the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. The galaxy held its breath. Rumors of human strength had spread far and wide, and now the council decided to act. A massive armada gathered near Earth's border, thousands of ships from different species, each equipped with weapons designed to overwhelm. The plan was simple: blockade Earth, cut off its resources, and force submission. But the humans had anticipated this day for years. On the bridge of the flagship Resolute, Captain Maria studied the approaching armada. Her officers reported the enemy formations in real time. Every ship, every squadron, every movement was logged and analyzed. Humans had prepared for this moment. They had built ships designed for speed, maneuverability, and intelligence. They had trained crews for every situation. They had learned from the past, from every war humanity had faced, and now they would show the galaxy why Earth could not be underestimated. Paul stood beside Maria, watching the view screen as hundreds of enemy ships filled the void. "This is what they thought would stop us," he said quietly. "They believe numbers alone will win. They do not understand how humans fight." Maria nodded. "They assume we will respond like others. They think strength is raw power, but humans use more than that. We fight with strategy, precision, and patience. This is our advantage." The first contact came as predicted. Alien ships moved forward, forming lines to block Earth. Their weapons charged, their engines ready to crush any resistance. But Maria did not give an order to fire. Instead, she activated the fleet's advanced systems. Engines hummed, shields adjusted, and communication networks synced in a single network of human coordination. "Fleet, begin maneuver Alpha," she commanded. "We disable, not destroy." Human ships moved in ways alien fleets could not anticipate. They split and reformed, weaving through enemy formations like threads in a tapestry. Beams of energy fired from human ships targeted engines and systems, not crews. Alien ships slowed, stumbled, and lost control, while human ships avoided damage entirely. The council watched from afar, expecting carnage. Instead, they saw something new. The humans were not reckless. They were precise. They were not cruel. They were efficient. Ships that had threatened Earth were now floating, disabled but untouched. Alien crews watched in fear and disbelief as humans demonstrated control and mercy at the same time. "Impossible," whispered one council member. "They disable without killing. They strike with speed and knowledge we cannot match." And yet the humans did more than disable. They tested communication. Signals were sent to the disabled fleets, offering safe passage if they retreated. Some alien commanders, still proud, refused. Others, seeing the precision and discipline, surrendered quietly. On Earth, civilians watched the transmissions in awe. They saw their fleet, small but perfectly coordinated, facing impossible odds and coming out unbroken. Pride surged through the world. Humanity's reputation was no longer built on rumors or whispers. It was proven. Maria gave her final order. "End maneuver Alpha. Fall back to formation Delta. Let them regroup if they must. We show strength, not arrogance." The fleet moved back, maintaining position and control. Human ships had not fired to destroy. They had only demonstrated what Earth could do. The message was clear. Humanity would defend itself, and no council or armada could control it without consequences. In the council chamber, panic replaced arrogance. Delegates shouted over one another, blaming leaders, questioning strategies, and admitting fears. The armada had failed to achieve its goal, and the humans had proven that numbers alone meant nothing. The council had divided before, but now, fear began to break alliances within its walls. Paul turned to Maria as reports came in of alien worlds contacting Earth, offering cooperation and support. "They are already reaching out," he said. "They see us not as a threat, but as a force that can protect, a force that can lead." Maria's eyes glimmered with determination. "They see what we are, and they will remember it. This is only the beginning. We do not attack without purpose, but we will not wait for permission. The galaxy has underestimated humanity for too long. The fleet returned to orbit around Earth, calm and ready. Every ship was intact. Every crew had learned the value of patience, strategy, and restraint. Humanity had faced the greatest armada the Council could send and emerged victorious, not through destruction, but through intelligence and courage. At last, the turning point had arrived. The Council had thought it could block Earth, crush it, or scare it into submission. Instead, the humans had shown a new form of power, one that combined strength with wisdom, skill with mercy. The galaxy could no longer ignore Earth, and Maria knew that the Council's fear was only the beginning. Humanity had proven it could defend itself, protect others, and outthink any enemy. The next steps would be theirs to choose, and the galaxy would watch carefully. The Galaxy Council convened in emergency. The chamber was filled with tension and fear. Delegates who had once dismissed Earth now spoke in hushed, uncertain voices. Their fleets had returned, some disabled, others surrendered quietly, and stories of human strength spread across the stars. The Council realized their vote against Earth had not ended a threat. It had created one. "Send envoys," one delegate demanded. "We must ask for forgiveness. We must offer terms." Another shook her head. "Terms? They do not need terms. They do not beg. They do not ask. They act. And if we approach them now, we will appear weak." Debates raged, but no agreement was reached. The Council had underestimated humanity, and now it could not act as one. Fear had divided them, and hesitation had left the initiative entirely with Earth. Meanwhile, the humans moved silently. Captain Maria stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her fleet in perfect formation above Earth. Paul watched her with quiet admiration. "They think we will negotiate," he said. "They do not know that humans have already decided our path." Maria's eyes were fixed on the stars. "They judged us without understanding. They assumed their authority would matter. It does not. We do not need their approval. The galaxy will recognize us because of what we have built, not because they allowed it." The humans were ready for what would come. The fleet remained above Earth, a silent promise of power and protection. Hidden bases on distant worlds activated, linking Earth with small civilizations that had pledged loyalty. This network of allies was invisible to the Council, but growing stronger every hour. Reports arrived of alien systems that had been isolated for centuries, now openly joining humans. Trade routes shifted, and intelligence networks shared information freely with Earth. The humans had become a center of influence without a single demand, without a single threat. In the Council chamber, whispers grew into panic. "They are gaining allies," one delegate admitted. "They are organizing faster than we can respond. If we delay any longer, Earth will be untouchable." Another added, "We voted against them thinking they were weak. That was our mistake. Now they have shown us that strength is not only in numbers but in unity, strategy, and courage." On Earth, Maria addressed her fleet. "The Council thought they could block us. They thought they could intimidate us. They were wrong. We fight only when necessary, but we will defend ourselves and our allies. Humanity will stand as an equal, and no vote or decree will change that." Paul stepped forward. "This is the moment we have been preparing for. We do not attack for conquest. We do not fight for revenge. We act to protect, to lead, and to show the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated." The fleet moved as one, and messages were sent to nearby systems. Humans offered protection, assistance, and friendship. Worlds that had once feared domination now saw a power they could trust. And in every corner of the galaxy, eyes turned to Earth. The Council realized their final mistake too late. By voting against Earth, they had unified a species that had been underestimated for centuries. Humans had turned rejection into resolve, insult into preparation, and silence into strength. The Council's authority was challenged not by force alone, but by vision, skill, and courage. Maria looked at Paul. "They will remember this day," she said softly. "Not as the day they denied us, but as the day they awakened something they could not control." Paul nodded. "They will remember, and so will the galaxy." In orbit, the human fleet remained steady. It was not a threat that screamed for attention. It was a promise that humans would act when needed, defend what was theirs, and protect those who could not protect themselves. Strength had been shown not through destruction, but through precision, discipline, and mercy. The Council's envoys approached cautiously, But they found no room for negotiation on human terms. Earth had already chosen its path. Any agreement would be made on human conditions or not at all. The galaxy watched silently as humans assumed their place, not by permission but by action. For the first time, the Council understood what had been denied in their vote. Earth had not needed their approval. Earth had grown beyond it, and humanity, once dismissed as young and reckless, had become a force the galaxy could not ignore. Maria addressed her fleet one last time. "We have shown that humans do not need permission to rise. We fight with honor. We protect with courage. And we lead with vision. Remember this, for the galaxy will know our name." The fleet responded with a unified signal, a light that stretched across orbit and into the stars. It was quiet but powerful. The message was clear. Humanity had risen and no vote or council could stop them. The Council's final mistake was complete. They had underestimated Earth, dismissed its people, and assumed their authority was absolute. Now they had created the very force they feared. Humanity would no longer wait for approval. The galaxy had witnessed the birth of a new power, one that combined courage, skill, and wisdom. And from this day forward, no world, no council, and no species could ignore it. Humanity had risen, and the stars would never be the same.